Now I know what some of you might be thinking right now. No way. I'm barely scraping by. I don't feel rich. I don't even feel close to being financially free. And I get it. Society has conditioned us to measure financial success only by external things, like the car you drive, the house you live in, or how much money you flash on social media. But here's the truth: those things are not real indicators of financial progress. They're just surface-level appearances. In fact, I'd argue that most people who look rich aren't actually rich. They're just good at spending money. But people who are quietly, steadily building wealth? They usually don't look flashy at all. And if you're watching this right now, chances are you have more going for you than you give yourself credit for. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through some hidden signs, signals that might not seem obvious at first glance, but they reveal that you're actually way further ahead financially than you realize. And by the end of this video, I want you to see your money, your life, and your progress with fresh eyes. Let's get into it. First off, let's talk about living below your means. This is one of the most underrated financial superpowers on the planet. You see, wealth isn't about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep. It's about the gap between your income and your expenses. If you've managed to structure your life in such a way that you live comfortably, but you don't feel the need to spend every last cent you make, you're already winning. Think about it. There are people earning 10 times more than you, but because their expenses are through the roof, they are broke. Their car payments eat them alive. Their mortgage stretches them thin. They're a single paycheck away from disaster. But you? If you can pay your bills, cover your basic needs, and still have some left over, even if it's just a little, that's a sign you're financially ahead. Because it means you've learned discipline, you've learned balance, and you're not trapped in that endless cycle of working just to survive. Now let's go deeper. You don't rely on credit to survive. Let's be real, debt is a silent killer. Credit cards, payday loans, quick cash apps, these things look like lifelines, but in reality, they're chains. And if you're living your life without constantly depending on them, if you're not swiping plastic just to keep food on the table or gas in your car, you're already financially healthier than a large percentage of the population. I'll give you a sobering statistic. Most people in developed countries are drowning in debt. Not because they're lazy or careless, but because they've been conditioned to believe that debt is normal. Financing everything, leasing everything, upgrading constantly, it traps people. So if you've broken free from that cycle, even partially, even if you only owe a little or none at all, you're ahead. That freedom gives you breathing room. And that breathing room is wealth. Let's talk about something else, the emergency fund. Now, maybe you don't have 6 months' worth of expenses stacked up in the bank yet, but let's say you've got something. Even 1 or 2 months. That cushion, no matter how small, already separates you from millions of people who are living paycheck to paycheck. And here's the thing, an emergency fund isn't just about money. It's about peace of mind. It's about sleeping at night knowing that if your car breaks down, or if you suddenly lose your job, you're not immediately in crisis mode. That's powerful. And again, it's a sign that you're not behind, you're ahead. Now, let's get into mindset, because this is where the real hidden wealth lives. You value assets over appearances. That's a huge one. If you've gotten to a point in life where you care more about what you own than what you show, you're ahead of the game. Because let me tell you something, most people care more about looking rich than being rich. They want the designer shoes, the latest iPhone, the Instagram-worthy vacations. But those things don't make you wealthy. They make you broke with nice pictures. If instead you care about building, whether it's putting money in investments, saving for a down payment, or even just learning new skills that will pay off later, that mindset sets you apart. Assets build your future. Appearances only drain your present. And speaking of assets, let's talk about multiple income streams. Now I know some of you might say, I don't have multiple businesses. I don't have rental properties or massive dividends coming in. And that's okay. Because what I'm saying is, even if you've just started a side hustle, even if you've found a way to make a little extra money outside of your main job, that's progress. That's a sign you're thinking bigger than just trading hours for dollars. The truth is, the average millionaire has multiple streams of income. And while you might not be there yet, the fact that you're even thinking that way, or dabbling in it, means you're already aligning yourself with the wealthy mindset. Another sign you're further ahead than you think? You understand the basics of financial literacy. Don't underestimate this. If you know what an asset is, if you know how compound interest works, if you understand why cash flow matters more than just a high salary, you're already ahead of the majority of people. Because here's the sad truth: most people never learn this stuff. They go through life working, spending, borrowing, and never once stop to ask how money really works. But you? If you're watching this channel, if you're learning, if you've taken even small steps toward financial literacy, you've unlocked a cheat code. And once you see money for what it is, you can never unsee it. That knowledge compounds just like your investments. Now, let's shift gears to confidence. You're not intimidated by money conversations. That's a subtle but powerful sign of growth. You see, money is taboo for a lot of people. They get nervous talking about it. They avoid looking at their bank statements. They panic when taxes come around. But if you can talk about budgeting, investing, saving, or your financial goals without shame, that shows you've taken control. And that control means you're already wealthier than you think. Here's another one: you invest in growth instead of instant gratification. Maybe you're reading books. Maybe you're taking online courses. Maybe you're building a skill that isn't paying off yet but will in the future. That is wealth-building behavior. Because wealth isn't just about money. Wealth is about options, freedom, and value. And every time you invest in yourself, you're stacking value that nobody can take away from you. And this brings me to one of my favorite hidden signs: the ability to walk away. Think about this: if you're in a position where you can say no to a toxic job, or refuse a bad deal, or step away from something that doesn't serve you, that is financial power. Why? Because most people are trapped. They can't leave a job they hate because they're one paycheck away from disaster. They can't say no to a bad client because they desperately need the money. They can't leave toxic environments because they have no backup plan. But if you've built enough security, even just a little, that allows you to make decisions based on what's best for you instead of what's urgent for your wallet, congratulations, you're ahead. That's freedom. Now let's touch on something deeper: long-term thinking. If you're planning for retirement, investing consistently, or even just thinking about where you want to be financially 5 or 10 years from now, you're ahead of the curve. Because here's the truth: most people don't think long-term. They think about today, maybe tomorrow, maybe the weekend. But building wealth is about patience. It's about planting seeds today that you won't harvest for years. If you're already in that mindset, then whether you realize it or not, you're building a foundation for freedom. And let me say this: even if your bank account isn't where you want it to be right now, the fact that you're building, the fact that you're learning, the fact that you're choosing delayed gratification over instant gratification, that's the sign of someone who is on the path to wealth. So here's what I want you to take away from this: you're probably further ahead than you think. If you're living below your means, avoiding toxic debt, stacking even a small emergency fund, focusing on assets, building multiple income streams, learning financial literacy, confidently talking about money, investing in yourself, walking away from toxic situations, and thinking long-term, then you're already on the path to financial freedom. Wealth isn't about how flashy your lifestyle looks today. It's about how much freedom you're building for tomorrow.